It's a brand new season. New car, same format. New track, same intensity of racing. This is the new circuit on iRacing. This is a track of tracks. This is a bucket list circuit to do a lap around. It might not be the greatest racing track in the world, but it is one of the greatest laps that you could ever do. Welcome to Willow Springs International Raceway and round one of the RTA Virtual Motorsport GT86 Cup here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me in the commentary booth, as per usual with RTA, is Craig King. Daniel Costello is on the cameras, which are provided to us by Dougie Beard. But this is the bucket list circuit that is Willow Springs. It's the Big Willow. It's 4.02 kilometers, and it is everything that you could want out of a flying lap and then some. Let's get a bit more understanding on what does make this lap so extraordinary with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Willow Springs International Raceway. As the oldest permanent road course in the U.S., it holds a particular place of distinction among American motorsports fans. The circuit is just an hour and a half north of Los Angeles, and because of this, it has been used in various films and TV shows over the years. With only 9 turns over 2.5 miles, or just over 4 kilometers, you'd think it's a pretty simple affair. But the incredible camber, numerous elevation changes, and some diabolically fast corners means there's complexities here to keep drivers busy for years. The downside is that there are a few heavy braking zones throughout the lap, and most are not in a straight line. Rabbits here and Turn 9 each require the driver to carry tremendous speed and aim for frighteningly late apexes. Meanwhile, the run past the Budweiser balcony all the way through the Monroe Ridge takes you on a roller coaster of rises and drops, all while dipping left and right with wild changes in banking. Sadly, there are a few series that visit the track in present day, but it stays extremely active through club racing, driver coaching, and private test days. It has long been a favorite for both fans and drivers, and once you get onto the track, it'll be easy to see why.
If you've ever played one of the most popular racing video games out there, you've probably come to this place and realized, wow, this is a really cool lap to go and drive around. This is one of those circuits that you just get that iconic feel about it. And the iconicness of it here, Craig, is the fact that nothing runs here. It is very unique in that sense.
Yeah, it's a very unique track nowadays, mainly used a lot for testing. I don't know if you've ever seen the Porsche Cup car in America do an advertisement around here, and also used for filming nowadays, Ford versus Ferrari. Yes, this was the track they did some of the filming for the first scenes in that film. They use it a lot for that, but it still has its history and its legacy. And you can see why. It looks small, but those corners on a 2D map, they are deceiving. They are cambered and they are up a hill. The moment you get to the Budweiser balcony, that uphill, that left, right, if you have played some classic games before, you know how challenging that is going to be. You've got to take the off apex corner for that left to set yourself up for the right, the balcony, downhill into a quick twisting left-hander, left-right into Monroe Ridge. That is the trickiest part of the track, but that sweeper, it looks like it's a long double apex there. It's basically 3 corners almost in one. It is a corner that is going to catch a lot of drivers there. And we have seen a lot of drivers taking some rally cross lines today with all the dirt out there. And with these Toyotas, the key is to get on the throttle as early as you can and not to twist the car too early, because you could be deceptive to having a little roll here. We don't really want to be rolling in the dirt here today. We want to be keeping all 4 tires on that lovely tarmac.
And I tell you what, Toyota, and especially Toyota Gazoo Racing, when it comes to this car, and apparently that building is the Toyota official pace car. Don't think that's quite correct there, but it is certainly a wonderful circuit to have great racing at. But one thing that we certainly can say about this car track combination is that you have one of the most spiritually iconic cars which is out there, Craig. And it is, of course, the successor, the direct sequel to the Hachiroku, if you've ever seen Initial D.
I have not seen Initial D, and I feel like I need my anime pass revoked. It's nothing that I ever got into, but this is one of those cars that's fantastic, and this is one of those series that has been a nice little staple here. And if you watched the Formula Fords, it's the same format here. So it's going to be a qualifying, which we're just into now with 4 minutes left. Then it's a 15-minute race set by that grid. Well, the grid, sorry, set by that qualifying. Race 2 is going to be the 10-minute mad dash. Wherever you finished in race 1, that's where you start for race 2. And then race 3 is going to be the feature. 20 minutes. A reverse top 8 takes the pole position. And that has been the one where we've seen a lot of different results. We've seen a lot of surprises there. But that second race, if you've never watched an RTA, that could be one of the most crucial races of the evening, just because it is a challenge to see where you can get on track, because tick-tock, that time ticks pretty fast.
It really does tick quickly, and you get a sense that when you're in a battle, you can definitely lose a lot of time very, very swiftly by being stuck behind other drivers who maybe are in a position where they can go out there and be a little bit more defensive than maybe if you're up at the top, what you'd want. It is a difference, though, from where we were last season to this season, from open wheel to closed wheel, and that's also been shown, Craig, over the course of the season coming up by what iRacing has done with its licenses.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see how they've opened up the licenses for cars like this on the series, and also just in general for the open wheels we go to qualifying. A quick note as well, if you were here for the last season, you would have known it was more of a British-orientated series. A lot of tracks, or all the tracks, sorry, in the United Kingdom. We are sticking to America and a couple trips to Japan, and then one to mainland Europe, because after Willow Springs we go to VIR, followed by Lime Rock, followed by Okayama, then Tsukuba, Mid-Ohio, Oran Park, and Rasogan to end the season. So we will have a really nice season here, and we're having a nice qualifying right now. There's only 2 minutes left, and that's Sean McGoldrick currently sitting in P3 in qualifying.
Yeah, he's doing a good job as we take a look then and hear the roar of that engine as we now start to challenge our way through this fantastic section up over Monroe Ridge and down the hill now, looking for that little wing foot then left. And then you've got this fantastic 2 rights, turns 8 and 9. The sweeper here, turn 8. And you can see still accelerating on the power, still trying to carry as much speed all the way to the outside. And just the lightest lift as the corner really does pinch in at turn 9. You're going to have to be patient over that curve. It wants to spit you out through that section of the road. Very similar to the bomb hole over at Snetterton, but over towards the line. We'll see what Sean McGoldrick can do. The answer is a 128.489, and that is good enough then to improve the time, but not too much in terms of position. 2 Seans are split by about 0.5 of a second right now.
Can we like separate these 2 Seans all together? Hello, Peter McCann, though. Having a little bit of a bump there. I love this final corner. You'll just see in the background, that's Martin McGonigal just having a little bit of a slide. But because of the way the pit lane is stationed here, you have got so much space of a runoff on that final corner. Not that you need it, but you can really get on the throttle in these cars because of, let's be brutally honest, they're not the fastest of the cars, but they're still quick enough. But that speed and that grip does allow them to really get on that throttle earlier. More cars coming along. De Souza were taking P10. Gandor jumping up to P11 there, just jumping Johnny McDonald by 0.07 of a second. And I believe Chan will be our last qualifier. Oh, and just a couple drivers in the background.
It's going to be close here, whether he's going to get to the line or not, because it's 15 seconds. He's got to reach it. Going through that final corner then of turn 9. Has he got enough power to get himself through? 5 seconds on the clock. I think he's going to be short here by about a couple seconds, and he is. So that's it. Qualifying is done. We will head ourselves over to the grid. 18 drivers here today. Peter McCann is 6/10 clear of the field as he lines up in pole position. Sean McClements and Sean McGoldrick will be second and third and leading the challenge there. Evan Walsh is the answer to life, universe, and everything with the number 42 car. Will start in fourth with Adam Dowling in fifth and Ian May in sixth position. Ronan Hederman will start from seventh with Robert Moore in eighth place. Rory O'Shea and Lawrence de Sosua make a very experienced row 5 of the grid here.
As we get into the second page, M. Gandor will take 11th position with John McDonald taking 12th. John McDonald will take 12th. Tony Stack will take 13th. And Wai-Fing Chan will be 14th. Rich Murphy will take 15th position away from Albert Reid, who takes 16th. Gary Cochran will be 17th. And Martin McGonigal, we saw him have that little bit of an excursion just on that last lap there. He will take 18th. The back of the field, it's a grid start, not a rolling start. Expect the unexpected as they head down to that first corner.
Yeah, and when they make that run towards that first corner, that Castrol corner, it is very inviting as a left-hand bend to really go out there and attack. You've got to be quick off of these starts, and you've got to make sure that everything that you are doing with these starts is going to be incredible. 15 minutes to open up proceedings tonight, the first of 3 races that we'll have here with you on the Global SimRacing Channel for this evening's coverage of the RTA fantastic GT86 Racing Cup, but they'll have themselves all of 2 minutes. The last car we're waiting for is Robert Moore, who is going to make everybody wait, I believe, and is on the grid. So this should put ourselves into procedure right now. Let's get ourselves ready then for one more season, one incredible season of racing. Green flags in the air, and we are underway, and it's a nowhere start for Evan Walsh and Adam Dowling off of the second row of the grid. Mr. Sparkle on a charge. Sean McGoldrick now will look to try and make the run towards turn number 1, trying to make it happen on the Castrol corner around the outside, but he finds himself washed out, and that's covered off nicely then by Peter McCann, who leads. They head themselves now through the rabbits here, turn number 2 out on track, and you have to fight with those tyres and hope you've got enough grip. Look at that on the inside, almost running the guttering. There is Sean McGoldrick trying to get an advantage. He's not going to get there. Sean McClements holds. Big moment, though, on the outside. Wide out into the scrubland goes Adam Dowling.
Yeah, goes wide. It was only going to be a matter of time when that happened, and there's some more spinners going around as well. And that looks like it is one of the back cars of Tony Stack. Yet again, having a bad start here. His bad luck continues in a new series. Up ahead, though, it is all pretty even. Steven trying to find a way through, but Goldrick couldn't find a way through. Moore O'Shea making 3 places up each. May making 2 places up. Not a good start for Evan Walsh and Adam Dowling.
No, it wasn't a good start for them. They really struggled off the line, and that's why they found themselves a little bit further back. There is Rory O'Shea trying to make a move out there on circuit here in 6th position, trying to line up that final corner. Now, you're always trying to work out when's the right time to turn into the corner. You can see O'Shea is hounding that back of the very traditionally inspired car there by Robert Moore, as he now looks to try and really open up a chance heading to Castrol corner. Turn number 1, it's covered slightly there on that inside, but back into line you must fall in towards the opening section. He might actually get shuffled out there, could Robert Moore, because Evan Walsh is there. He wants to get in, so too Adam Dowling. They all are there, but it's a long 200 degrees of right-hand bend that comes along next, and they're scrubbing themselves through the grass. Look how many takes it's taking through, and there's the tip.
There's the tip. It was always going to happen. 2 cars there trying to just take a different line, trying to find whatever gap they could, and they had to use the gravel, and it just cost them a little bit of time. You don't want to be spinning these tyres around on this circuit, but Goldrick tries to look for a move. Meanwhile, behind them, Rory O'Shea got that move done over Robert Moore around the outside of the Budweiser balcony there. Really good move there to hold that up, but unfortunately it was Adam Dowling who had that little turn there. I think DeSoto just caught him off. Meanwhile, top 4 are still all bunched up together. Do not be afraid if we see this for quite a while.
Yeah, McCann, McClements, McGoldrick, and May. Not quite a Mook. We'll have to call him Mook May at this point when he's on this group, because it's all the Mooks at the front, and then behind that, you've got everybody else behind who is really starting to try and go through. There is McGoldrick in third position. Look at that. That's a beautiful design on that machine. A fantastic Simpsons reference there. Mr. Sparkle shining. And here is the look then for the race lead on the run to Castrol Corner. It will be around the outside for Sean McClements to get this done. He has to be worried, though, that he gets tipped. He sets the fastest lap for Sean McGoldrick, but McClements takes the lead. McGoldrick now takes second, and he almost had eyes on first. Look how quickly Peter McCann drops back to third.
Yeah, Peter McCann losing a couple positions. Darren McGoldrick almost made it to the front of the field, but was able to just keep himself safe there. Was trying to follow through, and he thought he had an opportunity to go through. Could not get it done under the acceleration. Was he got on throttle here? But as this continues on, now you've got to think, if not when, as we go to replay.
Let's have a look at Tony Stack here, who really doesn't have a good amount of fun here out there on circuit. He goes charging through. This is what happened, though, to Rich Murphy, it looks like, though. And that is a hard left, straight down and, oh, right into the barriers. In fact, it flips him. There's so much force.
Well, that is Murphy's Law, or something to do with some sort of equation of law as the top four continue on. And just look at everybody. You've almost got two packs here now, just making their own battles and making their own strategies in this race. McGoldrick is trying to find a way from McClements, and we did see last time the key was to get it on the start-finish straight, get down to Castrol Corner, and try and make that move stick. The moment you get into the rabbit's ear. Is there a look here at the front four? Doesn't look like it this time, but you just know with 10 minutes left in the race, there is no reason to panic yet. The opportunities will come.
Opportunities will arise, but you have to be patient to find them. Sean McClements leading this field then and trying to make sure that he gets enough of a breakaway. It's very much formed into pack-style racing at this point. It's a leading four, and then following that is a group of about 7 that's trying to chase that down at the moment. The difference there is about 2.5 seconds. And there's troubles behind because Evan Walsh, who was going for 5th place, now tumbling down the order on the timing tower, and he's down to 11th position now. So I don't know what's quite happened there, but it looks like there's been issues heading up towards the balcony section.
Yeah, was trying to make a move on Rory O'Shea, and it just did not work out there. He tried to put his nose in, and there wasn't space there, and unfortunately he tumbles down the order, and there was another incident, but that's all cleared up as the top four continue their little charge here. You can just see this is almost like Peloton. This is Grand Tour racing at the moment. If you're a fan of cycling, you've got the 4 in a little breakaway group. They are starting to do this. And also, have you just noticed, in May, he's starting to get a little bit pushed out there. They've realized he's not gone amok on his name, and they thought, well, you can run with us, but can you keep up with us? That's not happening right now.
It's very much a case of Ian May of trying to just stay with the group and the look to the inside after battering the turn 9 curb there. Peter McCann's not having anything for an answer, but I tell you what, there's still overlap there for McGoldrick, but he has to lift out of it, and he can't do anything about that. He has to be patient. He has to fall back into line, and they are at risk of losing Sean McClements here. It's 3/4 of a second now, the margin at the front. This is crucial at the halfway stage of this race. They don't let him pull out too much of a margin. You're thinking, oh, it's only 7/10. Big mistake there from Sean McGoldrick and Peter McCann. McCann getting all of the curb and then some. How he saves it, I have no idea, but it means that he drops back, and suddenly that gap is a second heading to Monroe Ridge.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted. Now McClements has got a little bit of space here, and I think Chan has had a moment here in the backfield. I believe he may have caught Albert Reed as well, and it looks like he has not enough damage to stop the car, but he's going to have to go and get that repaired. This track, we talk about how old it is, Jake. It is still very wide here, and if we look at the replay, you'll just see that sometimes getting a bit too wide here with this track just opens you up to a little bit of moments like this.
Oh, it's a bit too aggressive. Car in trouble in front. 1, 2, 3. They all pretty much dump themselves over into the bottom left-hand corner as they over-rotate up the hill. And that's what you sort of get when you deal with so much elevation change on this track. A track which has been unchanged in layout here in terms of what it's been built since 1953, its inception as a racetrack.
It is the oldest running racetrack, active racetrack in America, and you can see why it has just all this history as De Sosa is trying to make his own history here with Robert Moore in front as he looks for position. Just what I was on about, the wide track takes so many different lines, it can cost you. And a twitch there from Moore. He's going to fight this car. He's done a really good job keeping control of that car. He's lost the position, but the key thing is he's still in this battle now. De Sosa is unable to pull ahead as much as he would like to. And now Moore, yes, he's going to defend McDonald. He's still in with a chance here.
Lawrence De Sosa, a very, very successful Irish sim racing YouTuber, and is certainly pushing on the door right now, because that is him now up 4 spaces in this race. He now finds himself in P6. Top 4 starting to string out a little bit. McGoldrick's doing the work, though, to pull this gap down. It's down to half a second at this point as they really ratchet through turn 9 and onto this front stretch. Now, they're going to have to be really careful they don't push too much out into that burnt grass out there on the outside of the final corner, because every time they do that, they're going to be picking up an off-track into the point. They only have 15 of them to play with over the course of each race before they get themselves into drive-through penalty range, and that's quite important to realize that every time they're going around, this track is so easy to try and take advantage of.
Yeah, it's so easy to take advantage of, but also a key thing as well, if you keep watching Robert Moore trying to hound Lawrence De Sosa, you also pick up the dirt on the tyres, and the tyres will start to have a little bit of an effect there, and that will almost give you like the same effect as if you start sliding these tyres. So you've got to be careful. You go off and take that. You've got to try and manage your tyres for that first corner, and a mistake going into Castro corner, like a mistake there from De Sosa, could cost you. McDonald's trying to look in there as well. He cannot. They are starting to catch Rory O'Shea, though. This could be a 4th car pack for P5 near the end of this race with 5 minutes to go.
I want to get a replay of what's happened between Chan Wing-Fei and, oh, De Sosa straight off the road at Monroe Ridge. And just like that, that is how quickly you can lose 2 places around this circuit. It was the same place a lap ago where it went wrong for Chan Wing-Fei and Rich Murphy, so 2 of them getting caught out in dramas, as Jamal Gandor's just run off the road through the final corners as well. So it looks like those drivers then all find themselves in a little bit of ooh-ah just a little bit at this point. But I want to take a look at what happened to Chan and Murphy, because that, I think, indicates what makes Willow Springs difficult.
Yeah, and of course it's one of those. So let's have a look, because it could be interesting to see what happened here. You can just see they're trying to go side by side. They are trying their best to do this. Gandor in the black, white, and orange car, goes a little bit too wide, a little bit of a touch there. That final corner, that turn 9, hello, he's just going for a little bit of a jump there. That final corner, it starts to narrow a bit, and you have to get on the throttle early, and side by side, you've got to realize that sometimes you have to compensate the throttle there. Unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, and then what happened with Chan Wing-Fei and Rich Murphy is that Chan went straight across just after the balcony, through into that fast left-hander they're going down right now, and it was a huge collision through on the apex there for Rich Murphy, who pretty much got blindsided by the way that incident took shape. Front 4, though, keep an eye on it. 3.5 minutes to go. It's roughly just under a 90-second lap around here, so this is going to be touch and go, whether this is going to be 2 or 3 laps to go. And Sean McGoldrick has once again, we saw it all throughout the brilliant Formula 4 Championship, these 2 are inseparable. They're like magnets. Wow, how much curb do you want to take? I tell you what, thank goodness it's sim racing. Their backs would be in agony.
I would not want to be driving these cars right now. I don't think I want to be a passenger in McGoldrick's car with the way he's throwing it, but you can tell he wants it. He's going to put his nose there to try and bait out a mistake on McClement. McClement knows what he's expecting here. He knows McGoldrick's going to try and ask the question, and he's going to try and find his way. And look at the speed he carries in through these corners. He is not giving McClement any inch here. And the more these guys fight, the more you've got to start thinking, will we get that extra lap? Can anything come from this as they hit to the balcony yet again? McClemens with a little bit of a length there. McGoldrick keeps his composure, but how much composure is that going to hit McClemens?
Oh, just look at how much pitch there is on Sean McClements' Toyota at this moment in time. His Hachiroku is very much in a position of more Roku, less Hachi at this point. He's going to be very much dancing on it, but he takes so much more of an aggressive line there through turn number 6 out on track. It gives him everything he wants to just stay safe heading through towards the sweeper, and it is going to be 2 to go at the line because they are so close in terms of their margins at this point. Another little look from McGoldrick's trying to think about the send here up the inside at the final corner. He's given himself the opportunity, but he can't quite commit to it, and he has to fall in line. Now watch out, because Peter McCann's on his way.
Yeah, Peter McCann's going to capitalise on this because McGoldrick could not get the optimal time on the throttle on the exit there and start away. You should see, you may have thought that would help him, but no. Side by side they go, and Mr. Sparkle is going to hold on to this position. McGoldrick's going to try and hold this, but now, if he does not close this up, and he does in time, that would almost just allow McCann to get in here again. He puts his nose in, cannot get it again. Onto the dirt there, and that's going to hinder him. Now he's going to have to be on the back foot as he looks to May, and all of a sudden we could have a 4-car battle yet again.
We absolutely could, but it's all dependent on pace now, and everyone's going to be pushing at 100% to get back into places. Mistake from McClements there, and right up on the balcony. Everybody's looking and teetering and tottering and hoping they don't fall over the top as they descend down the hill towards turn 6 here. The fast left-hander, which is a brilliant sweeper of a left, which leads over to Monroe's Ridge. Here the on-camber turns very quickly to off-camber, and look at the run that Peter McCann gets through this section. He is searching every way for a pass right now, and it's McClements on full defensive pact at the moment. They're boxing McGoldrick.
Here they go, they're going for a box. This isn't the police, they're not trying to do that maneuver, but side by side you can see, and that put McGoldrick, he wants to make the aggressive move on the inside, he's unable to, and still, they get it. More bouncing on the curb there from McGoldrick, but we're going to take the white flag here. Is McCann got a chance here? This could be his best chance to get this P2. Ian May's in the backfield as well, he's looking for a move, but to the inside goes McCann. He cannot find the position, and all of a sudden, this allows McClement to just have a little bit of breathing space.
That traffic, big in terms of this, because Ronan Hederman and Gary Corcoran are racing for position in front at this point. The race on for 14th place, and Sean McClements is going to have to hope that they play nice when they catch as the top 4 make their way up to the balcony for what will be the final time in race 1 of 3. They're side by side in front, and Gary Corcoran exits stage left to get out of the way of everyone. Look at the run over the crest. Goes for Sean McGoldrick. He opens up the inside at turn 6. Power much better on through from McClements, but McGoldrick will still have drive over Monroe's Ridge here. They'll head themselves to the wing foot of this brilliant section, or as I should say it is in fact the wing's leg, side by side. The sweeper, it is McGoldrick on the outside, McClements on the inside. How much do you pinch? McCann is there. May is now trying to make a move to the outside. He's been so quiet in this race as he tries to get through. Now can you find anything at turn number 9? Trying to get it through, and on the outside into the grass. Now it's about drive up the hill. Who's going to get it on the drag race? McGoldrick trying to race McClements, who's holding, and it's just enough by a third of a tenth of a second.
That is what we call an iRacing moment. Fantastic driving by all 4 of them there, and a 3-wide finish at the end of the race just sets everybody up, and that getting on the dirt at the end there, was that the killer for McGoldrick? He misses out by 3 thousandths, and McCann misses out by 8 thousandths.
300ths and 800ths. That's the key. Let's take a look at the top 10 then. Sean McClements, what a win that is, as he picks it up over Sean McGoldrick. The top 3 within a tenth of a second, with Peter McCann in 3rd and Ian May rounding out in 4th. Rory O'Shea would finish 5th, ahead of Robert Moore in 6th. Then it's John McDonald having a great showing in 7th place. Spacing out, though, a little further behind, Adam Dowling and Lawrence de Sosua would be 8th and 9th, with Tony Stack rounding out the top 10 overall in that first race. An incredible showcase of what the GT86s are, because that is very much like how the Formula Ford is the baseline for all road racing in terms of open wheel formula. Craig, that car, that GT86, is the base formula, not just in the United States for everything GT, but also in Australia, in Japan, almost everywhere. It is the baseline.
Yeah, you can see why Toyota's designed this car. It produces fantastic racing. It produces great learning opportunity for drivers to get into sports car racing. And you can see why it is such a popular series that has now come into the real world thanks to Toyota creating these brand new cars as they start the grid. What can we expect from this race, you wonder? Is it going to be a bit of the same, or are we going to see a little bit more of aggression? Remember, it's not 15 minutes, it's 10 minutes now. Who's going to get on the throttle first when they come out those corners? That is going to be the winner here. Of course, it's going to be the winner because if you finish first, you got to cross the line first.
Absolutely, everyone on the grid then. Race 2 is the same as the results from race 1. Who's got what it takes? Engine notes are loud and noisy as they should be. And the successor to the Drifters' King car, Truno 8086, we are underway. Big defence all the way to the inside from McClement to deal with McGoldrick, who goes to the outside now, searching the Castrol corner, trying to find a run. Does he pivot underneath? A bit of blinking would say absolutely. And now we'll be on the outside here for the Rabbits here. The long right-hander up the hill, which doesn't feel like much of an uphill trek, but you certainly feel it on the left-hand side tyres every time you drive up this section. And it is the front four, as it was in race 1, who find themselves good. Moore finding himself ahead now of Rory O'Shea. It's a battle on in the midfield.
Great battle in the midfield already, and this is the elevation change. When you're here, you realize how high this is, and you go up to the balcony and you see exactly what you're looking down as Rory O'Shea starts his way down. He's trying to get that position back that he lost 2 more, and he is fighting in the backfield. You see a couple positions going as well. Evan Walsh, mate, there's a spin as well, and Gandalf's gone off there. I can't see who that is with him. And the car just decides to go flipping. And that is just a case of the hill here, and that's Ron Hederman.
Yeah, Ronan Hederman dug himself actually down in, and as he was stopping over the curb, he sort of tried to ollie the car as if he was Tony Hawk. That's not a very good idea out there in terms of what you need to do. But at the front, look at the power that is needed by Sean McGoldrick. He's sat all over the back of McClement, and now here comes the search. Oh, right in the back there as well. Going wide out to the right. Here comes the charge from McCann, who will go to the outside and will run out of road here. He's going to drift off the side of the circuit or have to lift. He has to lift. And just like that, it is as easy as you like to get back through around the outside. And Misuta Supakoru will take his way back up into second. Sean McGoldrick.
I love that you know what that was. You see just there, Robert Moore catching the gravel a little bit there as he continues his little charge up the field. He's got Ian May in front of him. He's looking to see what he can do. He realizes the top 4 were out of reach for the whole of the first race. Now he wants to see what he can do. He made up 2 positions in the first race. He's already 1 position up in this race. What can he do as he comes down the hill? And if we can see it's all square, I believe we have a couple replays of just what happened at the start of the race. But I think first of all, let's just see if McCann can just make this move. Down to Monroe Ridge he goes. He's going to get this fantastic, and I think Ian May wants to try and follow.
Oh, I think he does here at the sweeper, but he's going to have no room to do so. So the move is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All there, all searching. Little pivot for the race lead. Not quite happening on as well. For 4th position as the pass comes in. That then is a move for May to hold station at this point. McGoldrick trying to work out, okay, where am I going to go? And you might actually need that bump draft here on these straights, Craig. That might be where it is so crucial as May sets the fastest lap. Traffic on the inside of turn 1 is not going to be helpful.
That's going to be a little bit of a challenge there, but everyone gets by it. You can see, though, McGoldrick just having to use the dirt once again. That bump drafting is going to be crucial here because the cars just gives them that little extra speed, and you start to see if another car tries to take both of those drivers out and around the outside of them. They've not been able to do that so far in this race. You may see a couple other drivers start to incorporate that bump drafting. Remember, if both cars are safe with it, you can keep doing that. You've got to keep yourself nice and planted, and that's what they're doing right here.
Oh, De Soswa heavy accident and very nearly beaches himself there on the front. Look at that. He's going to have to be very careful. He finds reverse gear and is able to continue going again. But that's not going to be good. Oh, he very nearly clatters Jamal Gandor, and he might almost nearly take out Tony Stowe. Whoa, where are you going? Where on earth are you off to there, Robert Moore? He finds himself searching pretty much the infield of this place. It's as barren as anything out there, and that was definitely not the plan as McCann tries to go around the outside for the race lead.
Yeah, McCann trying to go around the outside, side by side. He can't do it, though, and he's going to lose the position, and he's going to go very wide up ahead there, and all of a sudden, he is out of position. McGoldrick's going to take that. McCann is going to try and hold it. But we see a little bit of free wide down the backfield as well. O'Shea is trying to battle off Ian May and John McDonald. And you can see that May gets by. This is some cracking racing here. By the way, if you want to know what happened to Moore, I think his sat-nav got a little bit wrong there when he got to the top of the balcony.
Oh, I needed reprogramming there, and of course it is one of these circuits that you just get a sense that you never go off by a little bit around here. You go off by a lot around here because the track falls off pretty much everywhere around this place. It's fantastic work that's being done, and a mistake there in third place then is trying to overdrive the car as Peter McCann. It brings the John Player special Lotus-inspired Toyota GT86 through. That's a change then for place as McGoldrick be taken on board. Look, he's been given a license to go out there and attack the other Sean. They raced all through race one. They're going to race all through race two. We're already over halfway through this race, and Sean McGoldrick wants to try and pivot and make this pass. He's trying to really open up this run through, but you can keep it flat. That's why everyone stays low. Look how he's trying to get down the inside. They're blocking each other so crazily.
They're blocking each other crazy, but they're also doing it safe to a degree, and they're trying to find a way. But the more they fight, the more they bring back in May and McCann and O'Shea. They're all battling behind as well, and in fact I believe McCann is going to try and find a way through. There you see it, another car going wide as well in the background. McClements goes fastest, and McCann will try and get his position back after that mistake. That's crucial for him. He needs to be up ahead here, even if he doesn't get the wins in this race this week. He needs to try and keep up for the championship standing, and Rory O'Shea and Ian May now, they're going to have a little bit of a tussle around the sweeping rabbit's ear, and up they go to the balcony, and Ian May just holds on to that position.
Well, you know what they say, a rabbit's foot is lucky, a rabbit's ear not so much. As they go through turn two, now up onto the Budweiser balcony here, and they tiptoe up and over from the highest point of the circuit back on down here at Willow Springs through the brilliant turn 6, leading to 7 here, the fast right of the Monroe Ridge, and down the hill now, chasing towards the flat sweeping section that ends the lap outright. This is everything that they want, and let's not forget there's a top 8 invert in this race, being held comfortably at the moment by Evan Walsh to the tune of 6 seconds.
Yeah, Evan Welsh has that P8 at the moment. He is battling Robert Morbett up the front. McGoldrick yet again. Round number 8, round number 9, I forgot, and I think they've gone the full length of a professional boxing match, and they still can't find a winner. Clement is trying to hold off McGoldrick yet again, and look where he puts his car there. It's not in the middle, it's a little bit offset of the racing line. It's perfect. Can McGoldrick find a way there? He cannot. And all of a sudden, that gap is starting to close up a little bit behind. All of a sudden, McCann is right back in this race.
Absolutely, because they are defending, they are compromising each other's lines, trying to be out there and aggressive to make those moves. And that's what's going to cost them at the end of the day. Having to be uber aggressive and defensive in equal respects. A search up at 3. Trying to get the pass, and now it's a big defence by McGoldrick, having to cover his 6 because of McCann that's there. 5 to the party as they descend down the hill.
Yep, this is not the burger joint here. This is 5 Toyotas having the best fight as they can, as there'll be 1 lap left after this, and one mistake is not going to send you down 1 position, not 2 positions, but 4 positions here, and John McDonald is almost catching to them as well. This is going to have to be risk-reward for any of these drivers. They don't care where they finish. They don't care where they start for the final race. All they care about is points. Points mean prizes right now, and a slide by Ian May, and Rory O'Shea gets by in the backfield. Then there were 4.
Then there were, and it suddenly means that May might drop back to 8th place or so as he goes through. So he'll be on the transfer at this moment in time. As it stands, McGoldrick, big power move at Castrol, trying to find the pass, covered off nicely by Sean McClemens. Peter McCann gets himself into position then at the long sweeping turn 2. It's all about how early he can put the power down through the exit to go flat, to go to maximum as you charge. McCann trying to search that outside. There's no room there. Again, back to the outside, trying to search it along at turn 3. That's not going to work. They will now hit the vista view that is the Budweiser balcony here in race number 2. And this is where in race 1, McGoldrick got his advantage. McClemens has it scouted a little bit better this time. He has himself 2 car lengths down the hill, heading towards turn 6. Out on circuit, the big turn 7 then at Monroe Ridge, the up and over the hill. You feel it when you're there and driving. Your feet go so light on the pedals there. You feel like you're jumping through that section. Now towards turn 8, the sweeper. This is where it's big. This is where you're going to have to find some magic, and McGoldrick will try it. It will have to be the long way around, the road hard travel to make this pass happen, and really try to pinch on that inside. Has he opened up just enough space here as he will now look to go for it? He gets pushed out wide, and all of a sudden it's going to be 2 from 2 from Sean McClemens, and McCann is going to steal a 2nd place away as they cross the line.
It's the carbon copy of what happened last race. Just too much throttle there with McGoldrick there. Unfortunately, just could not get that and goes wide as well. John McDonald had a moment at the end of that last race, got to turn around, and he loses out some positions there. Robert Moore catches up to P6. Rory O'Shea gets the P5. Evan Walsh out of nowhere from P12 gets 4th in the 10-minute dash.
That looks like it is a disconnection then for John McDonald, and that is heartbreak with the way that he was driving. Sean McClemens will take the victory by 0.2 of a second over Peter McCann for 2 great races to start off this season. Sean McGoldrick will end up in 3rd, having to pretty much bash his way against a brick wall in order to try and get a victory. He ends up being defeated by said brick wall. Evan Walsh will finish up in 4th position. He started 12th. He gained 8 places in that race. An incredible drive by him, with Rory O'Shea in 5th, as we just lose our coverage there for a second of the results. But we can confirm it was Rory O'Shea in 5th. Robert Moore would finish 6th, with Ian May 7th, and Albert Reid will be the pole sitter for race number 3. Martin McGonigal made great progress, gained 6 of his own, up into 9th place, with Jamal Gandor in 10th and Lawrence de Sosua in 11th positions overall. That would follow Tony Stack, Rich Murphy. John McDonald, of course, would be classified as the first driver a lap down in 14th. And then Adam Dowling, Wingfei Chan, Ronan Hederman, and Gary Corcoran would find themselves a little bit further down the order. We do have some drivers, though, here who want to have themselves an opportunity to have a chat. Craig King has walked down the virtual paddock. He's found himself with Sean McClemens, who has got himself 2 very good victories so far here, Craig.
Yeah, it's hot down here, but I'm with Sean McClemens. And Sean, I've got to talk about it. You've had 2 fantastic finishes there. You must really like having the inside line for that final corner, because this looks like you've managed to dice with depth on those last 2 laps. And it just looks like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, these cars are incredible fun once you get them right. My line in the last corner is really different to everyone else, so it's hard to do whenever you have traffic behind you. So what I do is I brake a wee bit early and shift down to 4th, and then just full throttle the whole way around the last corner. It sort of gives you a bit of a better exit out the last corner. But with the lads behind you, their line is to brake deep and then get the exit out of the corner. So with them behind you, it's hard to take my line, so I just have to keep the inside, and it seems to be working so far.
Now, we know of your battles with Sean in last season, so I'm pretty sure that you're aware of how he's going to drive. Has the experience from last season with his battles allowed you to react to him better this season, or is he now pulling out new stuff that you're not catching up to?
Well, the battle with Sean last season has taught me a lot, just in racing in general, because of how close me and Sean were last season. So obviously this season, different cars, everyone's just sort of getting used to the cars and stuff. So I think he is trying a new thing here and there. And there's a time he tried to actually overtake me down the inside into the last corner on the gravel. So that was new. So yeah, I think he is trying a couple new things, but some of the stuff he's doing the same. So I'm well prepared for it.
Well, Sean, we'll let you go very shortly. If you've got any shout-outs very quickly before we go.
Just a shout out to all the lads at RTA, all you guys for putting on a good show. Shout out to Al Reid for making the livery. He actually made the past couple of seasons liveries, and they have been incredible. And then just a shout out to the family at home watching.
Well, Sean, go well in the next race. You'll start in 8th position, and hopefully we may see you perform the three-peat here. That was Sean McClements, Jake. I believe you're down in this nice warm paddock, and I believe you've got somebody with you.
I do. I have Peter McCann, who is here with me, was able to pick up a second and a third over the course of the action. Peter, it looked like it was troubles last season for you trying to understand that Formula Ford. Put yourself here in the Hachiroku, the 86. You're absolutely loving it.
Yeah, and it's not a car I've done much driving in at all either, Jake. Yeah, it's come together really quickly now. Yeah, the Ford was a complete disaster. We had 24 races last season and I didn't enjoy one of them, so happy to be back at the pointy end.
Well, just looking at you going through turn 1, and the front left is actually pivoting itself off the ground as you go through that opening corner. A track like this where nobody really understands what's the quickest way to go around it, brand new to the iRacing service, this is the perfect melting pot to say just go out there and race. Do you feel like you've got a handle on this car and track combo?
I do, but it probably also lends back to the fact, like what you're saying there, that it's new to everybody, or new to anyone that didn't play it on the old race driver games back in the day. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens now in the rest of the season.
P7 start for you then in this next race coming up. What's the aim then for the first couple of laps?
Just take it easy. It's first round of the season, so just see what comes. For second and third already, so I'm happy enough with taking what I get.
So taking it easy. Peter McCann there joining us, getting a second and a third in the back pocket. As easy as that. We're about 15 seconds away, though, from taking ourselves over to the grid for what will be the final race of tonight. It is going to be 8 more fantastic weeks of sim racing action to come along. And quite honestly, you couldn't ask for much better of a start in terms of a championship. Willow Springs is putting everything together, and all the stops and then some are coming out to shine. It's the big race, though. It's the 20-minute feature, and with a bit of patience, you're going to have to find some overtakes if you start, for example, in 8th place. Albert Reid will have control of the field when we get to the green flag running. He's on the pole position with Ian May alongside him on the front row. Robert Moore and Rory O'Shea will go from 3rd and 4th positions, with Evan Walsh lining up 5th, and the ever-quick Sean McGoldrick squeaky clean in 6th position. Peter McCann starts 7th. Sean McClements looking for the sweep, the three-peat here tonight. He'll go from 8th place, with Martin McGonigal 9th and Jamal Gandor rounding out the top 10.
As we quickly just hit to the second row as well. Laurent de Sosa will be P11. What can he do there? Tony Stack will be 12th. Rich Murphy will start 13th. And then John McDonald will be 14th. Adam Dowling will take 15th. Chan Wai-Feng will be 16th. Ronan Hederman hopefully will not do a kickflip and will start 17th. Gary Cogaran will keep that back of the field in 18th. 20 minutes. We're getting ready to go, Jake.
Track temperature absolutely ideal, 34 degrees centigrade out there on circuit, 94 Fahrenheit. It is gusty though as the green flag will drop. One driver didn't take to the start then, and that will be troubles in the field there. And it was, of all people, Sean McClements who didn't take the start. So that is huge because he's just had a disconnect coming to the start. Massive disaster. Through the opening corner then goes Albert Reid. He's got control. It's O'Shea who's looking around at him because suddenly McGoldrick's second.
Where has this come from? McGoldrick out of nowhere, making up the positions and around the outside. One car getting caught out there around the outside. That is the 15 I believe, Albert Reid. He is getting in the wrong places at this moment. Can he get himself back into the line? He does, and he's right behind the 42 of Evan Walsh there. All of a sudden, this is open now. Once Sean is gone, McClement, no idea what's happened to him. And McGoldrick is looking to push. Could be a question of when, not if, he takes the lead.
Well, you're going to have to be patient finding that pass up over Monroe Ridge and trying to make that happen now in the immediacy. Is McGoldrick trying to pivot to that inside? They cross the beams. Heavy defensive line then by Robert Moore, who leads this race. So it's Moore in control. McGoldrick second. O'Shea there in third. And there is the pivot. And look how easy it is for O'Shea to just sneak up the inside. There's a bit of long game coming into this, I feel. And look at that, over the inside curb. That is a huge amount of curb taken by McGoldrick. He's pushing.
He has been doing that so much. I wonder if the issue here, if he's taking the wrong lines. Peter McCann getting past Albert Reid in the background there, and he's starting to join the fray. Wonder if he's just getting the wrong lines there, trying to take as much throttle as he can, and just not finding the right apex there. Because it does feel like he's been doing that quite a lot this week, this race night, and it is showing a little bit of struggles here. Just like Ian May, he's having his own little struggles here, trying to get around and defense. That Gandor there, I believe, could be the cork in the bottle, though, because look how that pack is all tight in the midfield.
Oh, it is, and they're trying to fan out, trying to find some range. Martin McGonigal, by the way, had a jump start. That's why he's down in the pits and has taken his penalty. That's why the green car went stage left over on the front. But down the hill now, they will charge from the balcony, and effectively, it's like running down the stairs at home. Rory O'Shea is now looking for a chance and is looking for a way to move on through, and he's got the line here on Robert Moore, but can he ask for a little bit more to get this move done? When you're on the outside here, you are so vulnerable here to the driver on the inside in third position making the move, and look at the shuffle between everyone there. Elbows out style driving right now by Robert Moore. He is holding everything back.
Yep, it looks a little bit like the icky shuffle right now. As the 17 of McGoldrick, he's going to look for a move. He's going to try and find if he can make this more bump drafting going on up ahead in the drive. Is there going to be a move here? Around the outside will go McGoldrick. If he keeps on the outside, he'll get the inside for the rabbit's ear, and he does indeed, and he may allow another car to come through. Rory O'Shea wants to come through. He has had a lot of patience this race night, and he's been able to use that patience to find the right opportunity, and all of a sudden he'll say, thank you very much, I will be P2. Robert Moore goes down to third, and Evan Walsh is hunting.
And Evan Walsh, let's not forget, started race 2 in 12th, is now looking around, thinking, you know what, victory's not out of reach here with 16 minutes and 14 seconds to go here in this one. It's all about now staying with the very fast, super slick, super quick Mr. Sparkle car that is out there in the race lead at this moment in time in Willow Springs. Behind that, got Jamal Gandor in 5th. McCann and May and Co are all there and all racing hard at this point in time, trying to get through. But Rich Murphy finds himself all over the hill at this moment in time, as here goes the move for the race lead. Rory O'Shea making the pass then and getting that sorted. He's now going to move up into the race lead.
And, you know, we haven't seen a lot of moves being played at the sweeper this race until the very end. So it's interesting to see what O'Shea wants to do here. Is he trying to keep that lead and pull ahead? Not sure it's going to be working for him. Another bad exit on turn 9 there from McGoldrick. Robert Moore gets a little bit of a look. There's a small amount of overlap there. It's at the rear fender. He will not be able to hold on to that, but you can just see McGoldrick is struggling on that last corner. What can he do to change his methods there? As meanwhile, Peter McCann, he's looking to try and make his way around, but Ian May is a very tough cookie. They had their battles in the first 2 races. Let's resurrect it for the final race.
Well, you're going to have to try and find an overtake now, and this is where it's going to get difficult, because the longer that you wait, it's not there. Pivot to the inside, and it's certainly not going to be available to do that. Now, this, of course, is the spiritual successor of a drifter's car, and that's going to make life very easy in the rear end to feel what this car is going to be doing and how you have to drive it. It is very different to a lot of other cars out there in terms of how much play you have with the car.
Yeah, but also at the same time, the car is very planted. I have driven it for an endurance race myself, and it's a very fun car to just take around a track, just because of how much time you're on the throttle, and sometimes you can get on the throttle for quite a long period of time. Everyone was trying to look for a move. He's had to defend as well, and then you can see Robert Moore right there. He's trying to get a different line. Very different line here. I don't think it's going to work for Evan Welsh. Just try to keep to stuff that works at the moment. You don't want to be losing this pack. The more you lose this pack, the more you open up yourself up to P5. Who is Jamal Gandor, who we haven't talked about? 5 positions made up so far for Gandor. He sits in P5.
He does, and he certainly sits as a fantastic driver at this point, trying to stay into this range, trying to make those all-important moves. As look how close it gets through turn 2. Oh, fantastic there as Robert Moore finds himself a little bit shuffled out on that inside. It's going to open up again. Walsh on the outside gives a little check to say, no, I'm going to make that move. I'm going to take my podium position here with 13.5 minutes to go, and takes it cleanly. And suddenly Jamal Gandor wakes up and says, this is where I want to start getting into play.
Hi, can I play? Can I play? It's like a school ground. You're trying to get yourself in with the cool kids. You want to go play in the sports with them, and that's what he's doing. And Evan Walsh, having a little bit of an excursion on the grass there. Gandor with the fastest lap last time. He's now joined this 5-car field, but the way with these two are going in front. Hello, a little move there from Evan Walsh. He looks like he wants to try and get this around the outside of the sweeper. Now stop me if you've heard that before. We've not heard it before. He's going to try and go around the outside. So is McGoldrick around the outside of O'Shea. We've seen this twice now, Jake. I don't think it's going to be the same result.
No, I don't think it is either. And look at that, out into the grass, trying to save it. O'Shea holds the lead. McGoldrick still there in second, the eternal bridesmaid in this race. Look at the defensive stuff now for third. Moore's going to try and find himself through. Gandor is now trying to find that pass. That's not happening. And out wide, Evan Walsh is going to have to be very careful right now, because look at this, trying to get back through. And that's going to be comfortably done. Jamal Gandor now in third, Walsh in fourth, Moore in fifth. But are they racing each other out of the top 2?
Got to be careful not to be doing that. You start to see in the background, you can see that is Walsh and Moore having their little battles, and Gandor is closing. As I say that, the commentator's curse, he makes a mistake at the start of the balcony, and he is losing out here. He opened up the inside for Walsh. Walsh tries to look at it. It has cost him as well. Now they've got to start to think. We're not even halfway. Let's try and work together here, because look at that gap. It is starting to move about. He wants to be there. They want to try and catch up. We do not want to see O'Shea and McGoldrick get pulled away. That is what McGandor's thinking now. Evan, Robert, work with me. We can get to that front. We can make it a 5-car battle.
Oh, you could. Oh, it could be so incredible. But they're going to have to play the patience card and hope that their pace is pretty much that on par of McGoldrick and O'Shea, who are up there at the front of this field, dancing through turn 9, looking to try and get that drive. These two corners go on forever and a day, and in the background it's McCann drifting out wide as he looks to deal with Lawrence de Sosa. They're only 3 seconds adrift of that secondary group. This is an all-important change. McGoldrick moves to the front, but he's overcooked it here as he goes sliding off, and so too Jamal Gandor will join him through the opening section. O'Shea takes the lead. Gandor just about holding on to third. Look at them go.
Oh, look at them go. Contact, though, between Gandor and Walsh, and Moore decides he's going to take that position. And all of a sudden, everything has changed. And look at this. Just look at now how the gaps are starting to close. And we keep having to mention Lawrence de Sosa. And off goes O'Shea. O'Shea goes off and keeps the car going. But into the rear goes Moore. It's a check-up now in the back of the field. I was just about to say, keep your eye on de Sosa where he can catch up. He's going to, you know.
I can't believe that everybody's there. Around goes Jamal Gandor. Just like that, his race is done as he now finds himself way back in the group in 7th and 8th position. And I tell you what, perfect framing there on the portal loop. He finds himself now dropping way back down in this race. He might be out. That is huge in terms of what that race was for the top 5. Now the top 4 who are there: McGoldrick, O'Shea, Moore and Walsh, and it all starts with a chain reaction at the top of the Budweiser balcony.
Yeah, you want to get in the middle of this chain reaction as well, because like I said, keep your eyes on the back. That's Peter McCann having a little bit of a scrap, and they're only 2 seconds behind him. They keep fighting. They may not get to this. All of a sudden, McGoldrick's got a little bit of breathing space in the front. That's not important right now. This is for 6th. This is for 5th. These are important positions right now as they come around the first corner. What can McCann do? He's going to have to catch up. He says he's loving it right now. Let's see exactly how much he's going to enjoy this race.
Oh, let's say how much indeed, lest we not forget that this is a car that actually has a lot of racing heritage. Of course, its father, the Toyota Corolla 86, was a 2-time winner of the British Touring Car Championship in 1986 and 1987 through Chris Hodgetts. And the way that he drove that car right in the era, I should say, of Andy Rouse and co. So definitely a car there. There's a look at that from Rory O'Shea. Heads up driving around from all. He managed to keep it out of not only the barriers, but everybody else as well. And that's the check up there that holds up third. And it opens up. Gandor going wide, trying to attack down the hill. Flick a little bit back because that's where the incident happens here. Down the hill, caught too much on the inside and we just miss it. Whoops, around you go. Gandor with a bit of contact.
Yeah, a little bit of contact as well. You talk about that checkup out of the balcony. That just happened to Ian May there. He had to make a small checkup, could not make it in time. He spun around at the top of the balcony. He's gone down from 8th all the way to 12th. That was our P2 at the start of this race. He's now lost 10 positions, but these guys have made up all the positions and they're looking to fight. Rory O'Shea trying to find that position back now. The gap is 2/10, and the more they battle, the more Moore and Welsh can get back into this. What is going to happen, because we've got 7.5 minutes left. They've still got around 5 laps left to go out here, and all of a sudden it is now a battle of attrition more than a battle of finding the right spots on the track.
Watch the instant points. We've got our first driver on that, and it's Rich Murphy, who has hit the 15 instant point limit. Evan Walsh, oh, what a search as he tries to go for the inside. It just doesn't open itself up. He might have drive off the exit, though, and they're back to 4 at the front again. They are driving everything. Look at how the back leg's there, and Walsh is gone.
Welsh is gone, but he manages to keep it under control. He's going to lose a couple positions from it, but he is still there. And you've got to ask yourself now about the incident point, because that's going to be a spin. That could be 2 incident points out there. That's not what he wants to see. He wants to get back up to the front of the field, because Rory O'Shea is still looking here. What lines can he do? This could be a corner with 5,000 different racing lines around here, and especially with a car with not a lot of downforce, you're going to have to be careful to find the right line, the one line to rule them all, and Rory O'Shea is struggling to find that right now.
Well, who is going to be the one that puts everything on the table and says, I can do it, I can find it? McGoldrick, O'Shea and Moore, your top 3, looking like they are about to hit the payload when it comes to these points. 6 minutes, 15 seconds. Gloria the Rabbits here at turn number 2, climbing up the hill ever the while, trying to open up as much as possible on this exit. You can see just how much they want to try and make this one happen. It's all about the push in towards the left at turn number 3. McGoldrick still holding very firm, very stable in the way that he's driving. It's no mistakes driving right now at the front of this pack.
Yep, and that little bump there, you can almost say he was trying to do a bump and run. A little bit of NASCAR there. NASCAR did race around here a couple of times, so it would not be surprising if he tried that, but he knows what he's trying to do. He's just trying to get in and play the mind games for McGoldrick. First time McGoldrick has led all night long, and he's led for more than just 1 lap. What can he do? And all of a sudden, look in the background. Yes, that's Lawrence de Souza now in P4. He has started to catch up here, and it could be a battle of him catching to the top 3 if they continue to battle like this. Once again around the final corner, turn 9 they hit. There's nowhere to go, but all of a sudden, O'Shea has a little bit of a run. McGoldrick takes the inside.
De Souza is in real no man's land. 1.6 seconds to chase down. McGoldrick, though, with great power on the straight, finds himself there, and that's troubles there for O'Shea. Too much grass on the turn, and suddenly that brings Robert Moore into play. And this might be the break that he was searching for as he now goes through turn 2. The Rabbit's here. He's going to take that away. Brilliant stuff.
Great stuff from Robert Moore. He's not been at the front all night. 6th in the first race, 6th in the second race, and he's capitalized on starting P3, and he's got his P3 into a P2 all of a sudden, and he's looking, but has he overcooked it there? A little bit too much speed into the first part of the balcony. He's managed to keep it, but the more these two battle, the more McGoldrick just looks behind and goes, yeah, I'm gone, fine. Just continue. I don't need you anymore. McGoldrick now has a 1.5 second lead, and he's all on his own, and no one's fighting him.
And half a second of that is through the balcony. Over the ridge they go, Monroe. And it's now a case of Stuckville for Rory O'Shea. The last thing he wanted was a battle. He got on the flashing lights and said, come on, I needed to really make some progress. We could have worked together. It's going to take a lot of effort to reach Sean McGoldrick now. If they want to have any hopes of winning the race, they might be fighting it out now for second place. I wouldn't blame Robert Moore in this scenario for trying to race out for second, because he knows every point is vital with the way that he's been driving this one, and he would love to consolidate that second. But here comes O'Shea searching for the pass then here, heading towards the opening corner out on track at Castrol, and is going to get that done without too much argument at all. Is he going to push a little bit too far on the exit? Yes, he is. Is he going to have to cover that one back? Lights flashing there into turn 2. No chances happening at the Rabbit's Ear.
No chances at the moment. Moore knows that O'Shea's going to try and cover that off, and that's what he did right away. No one's going to be trying to be using the gravel early in this lap because they want to just hold on to what they can. Up they go yet again, and the mistake from O'Shea. O'Shea's going to go flying. He holds off yet again. That's the second time this race that has happened to him there. And once again, another driver cooking it too hot into the first part of that little left-right combo, and it's cost him. And yet again, he's on the defense, and this is not what he wants to see. He's defending P3 now because finally De Sosa has joined the party.
I tell you what, Rory O'Shea fancies himself the next Keiichi Tsuchiya with the way that he's jumping about the circuit and trying to hold on to everything like he's wrestling an octopus in a washing machine at this moment in time. De Sosa would love a podium. And let's not forget, there's a driver who started 15th in this race who's racing for a top 5 right now at this point, and that's Adam Dowling, who's driven incredibly at this point to get to where he is.
Yeah, Adam Dowling as well. He's battling Pete McCann for P5, and you'll probably see him in the background in a minute. We got to look at Hederman as well. What was that? That was a lap car just having a bit of a moment there under throttle. De Sosa is now fighting. Actually, to be fair, you've got McClements just holding up McGoldrick, at the front on his own. It's going to be a free car battle for P2 shortly, but Adam Dowling looking to try and make some moves right here. He's going to have to battle his way around Pete McCann, and I'll tell you what, as cool as you like, what a move from Adam Dowling.
What a move indeed, and that is just what you love from the way that these drivers drive. These are two very quick drivers trying to prove that they've got what it takes in terms of this racing, and they are absolutely giving everything and then some. Up over the balcony with 2 laps to go. It is Adam Dowling holding on to that 5th place, but Rory O'Shea, he's gone around.
Rory O'Shea went around, and also Laurent De Sosa almost went around. It was a battle of which one of those could hold the car. De Sosa managed to keep the car pointing straight. Rory O'Shea unfortunately tried to make a correction, and it just kicked him around. And all of a sudden, unfortunately for O'Shea, he's gone down into 6th position. But that just gives a massive sigh of relief for Sean McGoldrick. He's got to have a clear final lap. Knock on wood. Cross your fingers, cross your toes. He's got a 2.5 second lead to Robert Moore. All he has to do is just navigate Willow Springs.
Let's take a look at exactly how it goes wrong then for Rory O'Shea. Just over the top of the brow, trying to save it, and then the tank slapper, which is the motorcycle turn for when you lose the bike and then the fuel tank hits against the legs. It's very much that similar thing that happened there in the car getting a huge increase of grip, and then thank you very much, goes the other way. Sean McGoldrick leading this race by 2.6 seconds in the Mr. Sparkle inspired car out there in the front. He has driven absolutely brilliantly here today in terms of his racing. He got himself a 2nd in race 1, a 3rd in race 2, and now he's looking to get every stage at the podium. You'd say in baseball, that's the cycle. Ronan Hederman finds himself now with John McDonald, a great race for 7th going on, with McDonald having those issues on the final lap. of race 2, he's going to be hoping that he holds on to it at this stage. McCann is close, but I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough, heading through that final stages, through that sweeper, to end out the lap in its entirety. For Sean McGoldrick, he tackles that sweeper now, heading to turn 9 for the final time here at Willow Springs. He will lead tonight the championship leader, and it is all the more for it, all the more deserving, and it was as squeaky clean as you could possibly have it. Sean McGoldrick takes race 3 here at Willow Springs.
Yep, and we see Robert Moore going there. De Sosa will take that P3. What a P3 for Lawrence De Sosa. And Peter McCann, unfortunately, just missing out at the very end there, as does the likes of Ronan Hedeman there. In May will come across the line. He manages to consolidate a top 10. But at the end of the day, we have seen some cracking racing. And I believe, Jake, that I think the pressure just got to the most of a lot of these drivers after those 2 fantastic first races.
Absolutely, and you talk about these 20 minutes, it's a lot more drawn out. Everyone tends to be a bit too aggressive too early. You have to pace yourself in a 20-minute race like this. The last of the drivers coming through, the likes of Adam Reed is there, and you've got one driver there just behind him in the background who's trying to make some good progress to find a finish. That's Sean McClements, who's 12 laps down, and is going to take the lap to get finishing classification here in this race, get some points in the back pocket, so it's not a DNF, which I think is really smart, actually, by the way he's driven about this race, because if he didn't take a start, that's a 0. Because he now crosses the line and, in fact, finishes the race there, Craig, that is points.
And points are going to be very important in this championship, so that's going to be fantastic for him. So let's just quickly go over the result, because we did talk about Sean McGoldrick winning out there, and Robert Moore will take that P2. De Sosa with a fantastic drive, Mr. Consistency, 8 positions gained in P3, and Adam Dowling, 11 places to a staggering P4 for a great move over Peter McCann, who finishes in P5. Great little battle between those 2 at the end of the race. Rory O'Shea will take a P6, and John McDonald, after what happened in race 2, recovers to a great P7 there, making up 7 positions. Ian May did not get the best there, starting on the front row. He finishes 8th. Chan Wai Feng gets a quiet 9th there, making 7 positions up, and Tony Stack finishes in P10.
Over the page then to 11th place, Ronan Hedeman has had an up, a down, and all-around day. He's had an aileron roll on top of that. And then you had Albert Reed, in 12th, the last finisher on the leading lap. Gary Corcoran would be the first one down 2 laps, had to take a drive-through penalty. So too did Rich Murphy, would be classified as 3 laps down. Evan Walsh had himself out of the race. He was up there racing hard. So too was Jamal Gandor. Both of them, their days over. Martin McGonigal, his racing not quite what he was planning for here today. And then Sean McClements, disaster striking for him right at the start of that last race. A disconnection forcing him way down, but he does score points because he did finish the race. He did cross the finish line to end his race and not down in pit lane. We're going to step aside for one moment here with the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back with post-race coverage after this. Every single race there was all about weight, purpose, and timing. It was one of those days where you sit back and go, that was actually really incredible. Some of the work, some of the driving, some of the overtakes, some of the skill that was needed to hold on to what was an incredible showcase of driving and momentum. We're here in the post-race. We have a chance to talk to some drivers. Why not start with a race victor overall, Sean McGoldrick, here with us right now. And Sean, you know, you've been working so hard over race 1, over race 2. You were just pushed to the limits there, couldn't quite find the victory. Race 3, you had to work for it, but you needed a bit of help from behind to give yourself the gap.
Yeah, Sean was really fast in the first couple of races, and I think there were a few places I was faster, but you just, unless you're massively faster, you just can't do it here. And I tried a couple of times around the outside, and at least I survived those.
You did manage to survive those, but talk us through the Hachiroku, the GT86. It's a car that has itself a drift legacy, a touring car legacy, the sort of car that's out there where you can definitely get your elbows out. What does it feel like for you to drive? Does it feel like something that you're comfortable with, or does it feel like something that you're still thinking, I'm trying to get to grips with, even though you had a great result tonight?
Yeah, it's really easy to drive. It's really easy to be consistent, but I don't know if it's just this track, because the curbs are really sharp. You have to be so precise. If you hit a curb wrong, then you're into the traction control and there's 6 people past you. So I think it'll take a couple of races to get used to it.
The in-car aid certainly proving sometimes a bit of a detriment. But let's talk next week now, round 2 of the championship. It is a little bit of a switch up then in terms of that. So for you, how do you go about looking at this race going, yeah, that was great. I managed to get myself a third, a second, and a first. I was able to get through the cycle. But now you're starting to think about, okay, VIR Grand West next time out. That is a huge circuit to race at next time.
I know. Unfortunately, I'm really gutted. I'm missing that one.
Oh.
I'm going to be in Ireland next week, so I don't have my rig. But I'll keep practicing. I think it's Tsukuba afterwards or something like that. I'll get practicing for that when I get back.
Oh, I'll give you some hints. It's Lime Rock Park, so we'll see you there for that.
Oh,
and
hopefully
that all goes well for you. Before we let you go, though, here, Sean, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
Yeah, just the guys at RTA. They're organising a really good league, and they put together a really competitive grid and a great format. And yeah, the Discord's always great fun.
There's fun everywhere you look with RTA. Sean McGoldrick, the proof in the pudding, a third, a second, and a first, joining us there with a great result of a night out there for him. But Craig, you found yourself to Mr. Consistency, and one of those brilliant YouTubers out there, Lawrence de Sosla, is alongside you.
Yeah, well, with Lawrence de Sosla. Last season, we called him Mr. Consistency. A 9th and an 11th was a tough start for the 9th. But going from 11th to 3rd in that last race, Lawrence, that must have been a fantastic bit of driving for you there, because you must have enjoyed making your way up the field.
It was a lot of fun. I started getting used to the car a little bit more, didn't get a huge amount of practice, and I'm also using a Formula rim, so I found the slides very difficult to catch, but it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, talk us through, actually, you talk about those slides. Talk us through what is required in this car around this track, because there is a lot of sliding, but there are also a lot of opportunities to get on the throttle early. So were you looking to get that throttle down, or were you just looking to make sure that you weren't oversliding that car a lot?
Yeah, so the cars have traction control and we can't turn it off. So that means the second we get just a little bit too, and I think it's kind of steering angle dependent, you can get the car in a decent slide, but if your steering wheel is straight and if your throttle is kind of flat out, the car doesn't know that traction control needs to kick in. But as soon as you make any bit of correction or adjustment, the whole thing starts like bogging down, and it gets very difficult to control. It's very prone to lift off oversteer then, and once it starts sliding, especially on a track like this with the bumps and the gravel, it is very difficult to control it.
Now, during that final race, we were saying, keep your eyes on Lawrence, keep your eyes on Lawrence. He's catching. Did you expect yourself to catch them like you did, or were you just expecting it to be a case of they might just battle a bit too hard? Because it did feel like you were just in the background, just waiting for fireworks to go off, just so you could watch the fireworks happen.
Yeah, it was a combination of two things, because I was more than a second behind, so I was kind of out of that slipstream. So I was driving. I kind of realized a couple of things that made me a little bit quicker, and I did see them battling ahead. So I had loads of hope. I was saying it to my stream as well. I was like, I'm going to just keep going, try and focus on just setting the best laps I can. And they did. They battled a lot. The slipstream is strong, especially with the fast people. They're just so close, so they end up battling, losing that little bit of time, and that's when I could capitalize.
So next week, VIR, it's the Grand West layout as well. Are we going to hopefully see you not on a Formula Wheel, and what are we going to expect from you for that race?
So this season is a little bit different. The last 2 seasons I've done, I've really focused on that consistency and really focused on just being the best points wise. This season I'm really focusing on racecraft, trying new things, going for those slightly riskier maneuvers and being slightly more aggressive, trying to enjoy the racing. It's a very difficult car to drive, so if you can be disciplined in a car like this, and if you can be quick in a car like this, it really translates to a lot of other disciplines. So this season I expect myself to be kind of all over the place. I don't expect myself to cause contacts with other cars, but I do expect myself to be a little bit too flirtatious with the track limits.
Oh, well, we're still going to call you Captain Consistency or Mr. Consistency, because that's what we know you for. Lawrence, the floor is all yours for any shout-outs before we let you go for the evening.
So I have an amazing little story. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but recently there is I was walking through my local supermarket, and I saw a poster for a local race car driver who was looking for sponsorship. She's 19 years old. She has a really, really cool car, and I said I need to get in contact with her because I have all the sim racing equipment. She might need it for her training, because at grassroots level people put all of their money into their race cars and they really can't afford a simulator unless they've got sponsorship. So I said that'd be an amazing way to help her out. So got in contact with her. Turns out she's on a PlayStation with a Logitech G920, and she's kind of severely limited. She drives a Formula 1000 car. She drives all over the UK and in Ireland, and she is like so committed to the cause. She doesn't even own a real car. She doesn't drive in real life. She is 19 years old and her life revolves around racing. So I said, this person needs help. So I did. And then my community, I don't know if you guys have ever heard about my community. They're the Potato Nation. That's what we call them. And they are completely nuts. So they set up a GoFundMe, and that GoFundMe in the last, I think it's 3 or 4 days, it is now at €2,600. So she's getting not only a PC and some hardware like, load cell pedals, direct drive. She's getting €2,600 towards her fuel, tires, travel, expenses, repairs, all that kind of stuff. So it's the first time that we're sponsoring a race car. So we're getting our stickers on the race car. Some people in the community have already made a livery with her exact livery, her exact car. She hasn't seen it yet. She hasn't driven it yet. She's going to be completely blown away by it. And it's all around a great news story. Jimmy Broadbent shared it. Jardier even donated to it. Gamer Muscle has been sharing it as well. I've been talking to Boosted Media about it as well. It's a real feel-good story of the sim racing community helping real-life racing as opposed to the other way around.
Well, the sim racing community is always a small, tight-knit, and we want to help as many people as we can. It's a fantastic story. Lawrence, thank you so much for the racing. Thank you so much for coming in for us. We hope you have a good evening. We look forward to seeing you in VIR. Jake, that was Lawrence Sosua, P3 in the final race.
He had a great race, fantastic cause they just heard from him, and it just makes you wonder, when's she going to join us then for racing action with the RTA and the Virtual Motorsports racing for the GT86 Cup? Because it was incredible in terms of the action that we've had, and it is only going to be better next week when we jump over to VIR Grand West. Want to give a massive thank you, though, to everyone who has been helping out with this show, from, of course, Craig, Daniel, and Dougie. My name is Jake Sperry. Want to give a massive thanks to all of the equipment companies that we use in order to bring this together, and especially the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp and, of course, on Spotify on top of that. Our next racing, though, comes up very soon, VIR Grand West, but you can catch all the other events that are coming up, like some Grand Prix Legends, for example, scrolling across your screen right now. Make sure that you check them out. Camel GT going to Aragon for the first time. Motorland Aragon, I absolutely love that. More Spanish tracks, please. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at the Grand West of VIR.
Yeah.